All right, I love, love, love this story. You know, occasionally Republicans do something decent. At least 8 of them in Maryland. This is fantastic. 8 Republicans in the 141-member Maryland House of Delegates have introduced legislation that would deny the NSA material support, participation, or assistance in any form from the state, its political subdivisions, or companies with state contracts. Basically, they want to shut the power and the water off at the NSA. This is kind of fantastic. Let's take a look and see what the bill would actually do. So, as I just said, the bill would deprive NSA facilities water and electricity carried over public utilities. It would ban the use of NSA-derived evidence in state courts, and it would prevent state universities from partnering with the NSA on research. Let's take a look at the facility itself, because it is a giant monolith that will probably destroy us all, unless Neo basically has to save us, right? Is this Matrix-level stuff? Neo has to break in there with Lawrence Fishburne and do some shit. Am I right, Cara?
Oh, it's big.
It's a big
building.
Yeah.
It's a big building, and I think that this is a really interesting way to fight back against what they see as, constitutional issues. The NSA is really pushing the limits. We talk about this story all the time on TYT.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending story, and I think it's really cool that this state says, you know what, you're in our jurisdiction, we're going to do something about it because we disagree with you, and we're going to use our political power to make your lives a little bit harder.
Right. Isn't there something really cool about shutting off water and electricity? Like, forget like, they've had it. They're like, you know what, DC is not going to fix it. The feds aren't going to fix it. We're going to actually do this medieval style, like we're shutting off the toilets. That just seems great to me.
Like they're surrounding the town.
Yeah,
nothing gets in, nothing gets out, right?
Yeah.
This, so what is it here, this amazing story that they involves the deal they have with the water company is for 5 million gallons of water a day. More water for that than the city of Annapolis.
That's incredible. So that's $2 million a year that they're just spending on water.
And that's to cool the computers, because they have so much computing power happening in this building.
That building looks like they got the design from me in 2nd grade, and they just made it a little shinier.
It's a giant black box.
Well, this is the government building.
It's a giant black box, which is basically what the NSA is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, how did they? If I were the NSA, I'd be like, let's make it a little nicer. Like, let's not have it be a giant joke that all it is this giant black menacing box that looks at everything you do. But that's what it is.
But it actually is that. It looks like the building from like one of those Will Smith movies where robots are being built there and something.
How will this affect the actual people?
You're looking for iRobot.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
Will Smith, robot, something.
Robot. Got
How
it.
will this actually affect, though, the people that live in this town? I mean, do they not make up a large portion of the people who actually work at the NSA?
Oh my God, this crazy Republican, she's worried about the NSA's jobs.
No,
I can't believe it. The jobs that the NSA is creating to spy on us.
I'm not really worried about the NSA jobs, but I am kind of interested how this jurisdiction thinks that they're making a decision that's best for their population if a large portion of their population is actually working for the NSA. But maybe they're not. Maybe a lot of people that are working at the NSA are actually being shipped in to do so. I'm not really sure how that works. Right. I'm not sure who the vast majority of NSA workers are.
Right. If, though, they were from that district, shouldn't we give these guys even more credit that they're putting their butts on the line and saying, we're going to be willing to take away some jobs from our guys at the water company? Sounds like Monopoly.
Do you think this is going to pass?
Well, okay, so that's my next question, but Ben, give me something
people work at the NSA in general, many of them at the headquarters there in Fort Meade, but the people could live all around D.C. They don't all live in Fort Meade. This is the 10th Amendment group that's doing this, so I'm not for it because I don't trust those guys to do anything. And I mean, they're what's wrong with America. And I got it. It's cute. It's fun. No, it'll never pass. I wouldn't imagine.
But it has passed in other states.
It has passed in other states, but I doubt very seriously that at some point the federal government would get involved and be like, we're the federal government. We can put the building wherever we want. You guys are going to give us power.
Right. Isn't there some kind of eminent domain thing? I'm sure there's like an offshoot of eminent domain.
I'm pretty sure they lose in federal court. It just seems like they would lose. I hope, in a sense, I hope they would lose in federal court, not specifically on this issues, but just that states can't be like, no, I don't like this federal program. We're not doing it in any way, and we're not following this.
I feel like they could say, I don't like this federal program. You want to use our turf, you're going to pay for it. We are not going to pay for you to come into our state. We're not going to waste our resources on this program that we don't back. And the fact is, an amendment similar to this, or I'm sorry, legislation similar to this did pass in Arizona, I think.
It was Utah, maybe?
Arizona
it was Arizona?
The most significant one.
And also,
that's the
yeah.
only one that's passed fully.
But there have also been
Passed the
bills
Senate.
pushed in Utah, in Texas, in different places, and I think that it's an interesting precedent. I'd like to see it pass.
Just what's going to happen then is that we're going to be on the hook for paying then to move this facility to D.C.
Exactly. Fort Meade will be like Scott.
Yeah. Right? You know, they'll build it somewhere where there's just a federal jurisdiction, and that'll be that, and then great. And
that's funny.
They'll put it in D.C. and they'll displace a ton of people. They'll drive them out of their homes. Yeah. It doesn't end well.
And then we'll foot the bill.
Of course, we'll foot the bill. The only way this ends well is with a combination of judicial action and then corresponding legislation, federal legislation. Like, we have to stop it the right way. These are cute stories, but the way we stop it is with judges and and then eventually with just, you know, warrants. I mean, like, I just feel like we could hash it out. Like, if we were like, hey, you know what, we're going to keep this stuff. We're going to keep it for 3 months. And then it goes away. So if they come up with
the metadata?
Yeah, I'm going to say, and then anybody needs to go back and get a warrant, they have 3 months back, and then it goes off into the ether, or 2 months,
that
or
would
whatever.
Never fly.
Right. Well, we've got the judges, right? Because a bunch of federal judges have struck it down, and then the one said it wasn't. But the legislative part is the part that's tough. Rand Paul today.
Right now. I mean, there are two bills on the table right now. People are really backing the USA Freedom Act. They are not backing the FISA Improvement Act. This is, a big story across the interwebs right now. A lot of different websites, specifically like Reddit and the Electronic Freedom Foundation. A lot of people are really pushing for the USA Freedom Act. But I think the fear here is that a lot of everyday citizens don't know the difference between the two. They don't realize that one of these bills would actually be a huge blowjob to the NSA, and the other one would choke them out.
On principle.
And the other one would choke them out. Do you vote for that one too?
I don't like that.
You don't vote for that one.
Porn. No.
Are you guys going to sign Rand Paul's class action lawsuit that he filed today against President Obama and the NSA?
Absolutely.
Are you going to jump on?
Not.
No way.
Not in a billion years.
Not on that drone-hating nut job.
No, if we're drone-hating nut job, Civil Rights Act-hating nut job. Yeah. You know, I mean, I got it. Their rights, they back into something right sometimes, but there are plenty of other people who aren't insane and write their own stuff, whose bills I can sign. It would just fit Rand Paul that he'd make other people sign his bill. So
it's not even a bill, it's a lawsuit.
It's a lawsuit.
Yeah, it's like such a strange way to approach this.
I stand corrected.
All right, so I thought those guys were the guys in favor of tort reform.
Yeah, exactly. All right, last thought on this. Where does the NSA thing fall on your list of priorities of what America should be talking about and thinking about? Because I still feel like it's this sort of considered this little extra thing. Like, we talk about it a lot here, but I feel like politicians still aren't totally on board. Certainly the mainstream media is not on board. Where does it fall in terms of like important things that we should be talking about?
I mean, it scares the shit out of me, so it's pretty high on my list, but I also think if we're going to be talking about the NSA, we need to be talking about privacy in general, and we can't ignore corporate interests in our privacy. I think one thing that we do a lot of times in the media when we talk about privacy is we only focus on governmental intervention, and we're not worried about all of the laws that are in place that allow big business to snoop into our personal lives, to sell our data, and to try to make decisions, basically make money off of our habits.
Cara, are you saying you don't read the 87 pages when you have to click I accept on the Facebook terms? Is that what you're saying? People aren't reading that whole thing?
Nobody reads them. Terms and conditions may apply. It's a really good documentary.
Yeah, you look at, every time I look to buy my, 173rd baseball hat, and I don't buy it, the next day, every website. That hat's there, and similar hats, and what they think are similar. So in a sense, I think that, and that's part of what gets to why Americans don't think it's that important. Because we've all experienced that, we've seen it, we had our moment of, what the fuck, right? And then and so the fact that the government's doing it, in a sense, you're like, my God, if corporate America is doing it, if the people selling me stuff are doing it, I actually hope the government's doing it. I don't want them to be ahead of the government for stuff like this. So I think until it starts tangibly affecting us, until we see innocent people, and there are a few, but until we see innocent people caught in the NSA's vice in a way that relates to us, I don't know that it's going to take hold.
And that's the scary thing about, I think, the dystopian future, right? About this Orwellian kind of future, is that it happens so slowly, and your rights are taken away so slowly that you almost don't realize it's happened before it does.
We change politics, you know, to go back to what they talk about on the Turks here all the time. If you get to the point where you get money out of politics, you start electing different people, then it will change legislatively. It definitely will change legislatively because there are ways to do it. There are ways to satisfy the law enforcement goals. I mean, whatever. I made up 3 months, but I mean, there are things that common sense people could come up with that would suit law enforcement's needs. Yeah.